Well, hideously, socialism is gaining momentum, and the far left is looking to take that playbook nationwide. In New York City, 3 candidates backed by Democratic Socialist Mayor Zohran Mamdani swept their primaries, including one who campaigned on extreme ideas like abolishing prisons and erasing borders. Mamdani insists that DSA candidates can get elected anywhere. And while he embraces those candidates, he dodged a question on some of their more radical positions. Watch.
How does abolishing prisons or having open borders fit into that?
I think that we can have disagreements on policy positions. What we have to agree on is what are we fighting for and who are we fighting for? She showed that in her race.
After those wins in New York, the Democratic Socialists of America are now setting their sights further west, posting this: today the East Coast, next week the Mountain West. In tomorrow's primary in Colorado, they're backing a candidate who has come under fire for anti-Semitic rhetoric and who has refused to condemn a deadly anti-Semitic firebomb attack in the state. Traditional Democrats say party leaders may need to curb this hard left turn. Here's James Carville.
It's something that Democrats are going to have to answer for. If you want to have political power, of which we do, in which I think we will acquire come November, then you have to answer these kind of questions. You shouldn't duck them. And I think it's going to be something to deal with. And the Hakeem is going to have to deal with this. It's not going away.
Well, and the problem, Kaylee, is that they sent a message to Hakeem resoundingly, ignoring and sort of, showing that they want him out, that this is the new, not just flank, but frankly, the new Democrat Party.
Yeah, and I think that maybe Democratic leaders have also sort of convinced themselves that some of their more extreme positions, these DSA candidates, that those positions will bar them from ever being elected to a nationwide office like Congress. But look, down where I live in Virginia, I also thought my neighbors would maybe refrain from electing the guy who fantasized about killing his political opponent's children, but here we are. So I think all bets are off when it comes to the extremism that some of these candidates are willing to endorse and to embrace. And that is why I do find the rise of the DSA extremely concerning, because I do think that perhaps this helps Republicans in the short term, especially heading into the midterms and maybe even into 2028. But I think it very much so hurts the country in the long term, because things that we consider extreme, and rightly so, don't stay extreme forever. Especially with enough time and with enough exposure, the Overton window can shift and people can find these things very normal, whereas just a few years ago they might have found them very extreme. So I do worry that our politics are moving in a very dangerous direction, especially among my generation, Gen Z. There's a reason why all of these socialist candidates are coming out of the woodwork now, and it's because polling finds that socialism has never been more popular among young adults my age than it is right now. There is more support for it, and because of that, we are going to continue to see this long march across the country in all states, not just blue states.
Yeah, Marcus, bell bottoms used to be extreme.
Yeah, well, I think it's fascinating to me that the traditional Democrats are surprised by this. They've been feeding this progressive idea for years, and all of a sudden the folks turned around and started to eat them. And so as you think about what's going to happen, you watch Governor Gavin Newsom all of a sudden now talk about not having the billionaire's tax in Florida, having it everywhere. And he's watching these polling numbers, and he's watching some of these socialistic progressive ideas and saying, I probably need to get on board or I'm going to get beat too.
You know, the irony of that, though, is that if you're a moderate, and you really are a moderate, they're not going to choose you anyway. So they're going to continue to run candidates far left of you. And Hakeem Jeffries may never get a say. He may not be sitting there long enough to be speaker if they should win the House. He may just not be present. That's not who they would necessarily choose. He's not far left enough for them. One thing that Mamdani said in that interview, and I know the sound cut out a bit, but he was asked whether or not, there's certain areas in the country where socialists couldn't win. He goes, no, they can win everywhere. Now, I'm paraphrasing him. He went on and gave much more detail than we have time for with that answer. But he sincerely thinks this is their moment. And I don't see anything that moderate Democrats are doing to dissuade that.
No, you and I talked about also heavily on, I think it was Thursday, the concept, Donna, that pro-Israel candidates were vulnerable, and that all of these candidates whose policies and rhetoric you would think would be disqualifying, like blatant anti-Semitism, enjoying a pro-Palestinian rally the day after October 7th, et cetera, that those somehow ushered them in. Now, this was called an insurgency of the Democrat Party the day after, for example, the primaries here in New York. But the reality is this is the result of them opening the tent so wide because all they wanted was blue. They didn't care who was in. They just say blue is the blue seat. And now they're paying the consequence. But so is the rest of Americans, especially Jewish people.
Well, that's absolutely correct. And I think what we're going to see is, and to Harris's point, talking about elections moving forward, I think these far left candidates, these DSA candidates, can get elected in primaries, as we're seeing it happen all over the country. And I think we're probably going to see it move west, maybe even Colorado, which is more of a purple state, right?
That's up next.
Yeah, that's next. But I'm thinking that overall, people are going to start to say, you can't win the general elections, right? So now a candidate like Josh Shapiro or Rahm Emanuel, they could never win a primary, even though they could maybe win a general election, right? Because I think the country overall is more center-right than leading toward this, this DSA section of the Democratic Party. But you're right, the Democrats have allowed this to happen. Just this morning, I watched Bill de Blasio with Bill and Dana. And Bill de Blasio basically was saying, yeah, well, their policies are their policies. We don't have to agree with all their policies.
Right, I watched
but, right. But he was saying, but, they have awoken something and they have shown that people don't want politics as usual. Well, maybe that's true, that they don't want politics as usual, but they need politics that are going to work for them one way or another. And the Democrats are totally unwilling to point out the fact that these policies are not going to work for America. All they want is the power, and that shows that they care about it being a blue seat rather than anything more, and that's more important than the values of the United States.
Graham Flatner teaches us that up in Maine. They don't care what that man does on, pedophile sites or whatever he's hanging out on, trying to talk to women.
Correct. Hey, everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.